Well, it looks like the SEC is continuing to go to great lengths to protect all of those emails surrounding the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech. In this video, I'm going to tell you what they actually just submitted to Judge Netburn for an in-camera private review that shows that all of their documents and all the discussions should in fact be protected by their new attorney-client privilege assertion. So we're going to take a look at what they just submitted. Also, if you're following some of the markets, it seems to have stabilized at least somewhat. Most of the markets are green, albeit very little. So we're going to take a look at what the markets have been doing, what some specific cryptos have been doing, including XRP and Solana, which if you watched my previous videos, you'll know that those are the ones that are holding strong. I'm going to tell you what they're actually doing today. And speaking of Bitcoin, I'm going to be talking about what Bitcoin miners have been doing recently that is raising some eyebrows and sending off some alarms in terms of what this could mean for the future of Bitcoin's price. And if you've been following my channel, you know that in my community tab, I have a bunch of polls up there. I'm going to read the results of some of my most recent polls, some of which have some very interesting results. Stick around to the end of the video for those results. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind YouTube channel. We're closing in on 100,000 subscribers. It's taken a long time to get here. So if you're new to the channel, you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'd really appreciate it. Also, the other things you can do to support the channel, smash the thumbs up button and watch this video all the way to the end. If you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. All right, so let's start by talking about the markets because as of right now, when I'm making this recording, most of the markets are actually green, albeit barely. The Dow Jones, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are all green, but only by fractions of a percent. The crypto market is pretty much the same. Bitcoin is technically up, but it's really been flat most of the day. Even the US dollar, which technically is in the green since yesterday, is actually in a bit of a pullback, which typically is good for Bitcoin and the crypto price. So looking at some of these prices, Bitcoin has been hovering about between 20,500, 20,800 pretty much all day. It's been a little bit on the boring side outside of early this morning. And what some of the price speculation is looking at is that there seems to be some support, in fact, massive support for Bitcoin holding this price, 20,500. There's a lot of support going all the way back several years in which that price point needs to hold, and it looks like it's doing so. In fact, a lot of the technical analysis that I've been watching have been showing that a lot of what they call bullish divergence is now taking place, in which indicators like the RSI and the stochastic RSI are pointing or are seeming to say that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up, meaning that the selling pressure is being alleviated. So XRP right now about 31.5 cents, and that's been holding up about 1.4% over yesterday. Solana, which I mentioned in my video the other day, yesterday as well, is up 4.3%. That one seems to continue to climb, and it looks like it has a lot of bullish momentum along with it. But the rest of the altcoins seem to basically be up about anywhere from 0.5% to 1.5%, which is good, but you know, overall, when they're down 20, 30, 40% over the last several weeks, it's just a drop in the bucket. Okay, so let's talk about what Bitcoin miners are doing that I just read is raising some people's eyebrows and alarming some, but not really alarming others. Now, if you're a Bitcoin miner, basically the network can see how much Bitcoin you are earning, albeit you can see it only in anonymous wallets. They can't really tell who you are. However, Bitcoin miners, those earning money mining Bitcoin, those earning Bitcoin for mining Bitcoin, have been in big sell-offs over the past couple of weeks. Specifically, over the past 24 hours, there's been some big spikes. Now, a lot of people said, now some of the analysis said, well, this is part of the reason for the Bitcoin price dump. And as Bitcoin price drops, well, miners actually have to sell a higher volume of Bitcoin in order to use some of that liquid money to pay for expenses, to pay for electricity, things like that. So it's only natural that they have to sell off a higher volume of Bitcoin. About 2,500 Bitcoins have been sold by miners into the market over the past 24 hours. Now that article is several hours old, so it was probably from yesterday. But regardless, that's actually expected. When there's big pullbacks in Bitcoin's price, this is what happens. We can see this not only from last summer, but we can see this in other big market cycles, like when Bitcoin went from 3,000 up to 19,000. And after the fact, it basically resulted in the same thing during that bear market. So is it a cause for alarm or concern? No, not really. In my opinion, I think that's just par for the course. All right, so now we're going to talk about what the SEC just sent to Judge Nepern. And these are some of the documents that everybody's been talking about. These are the famous documents, the Hinman emails that the SEC wants hidden. That Ripple and the rest of the XRP community and those supporting Ripple think should come out and essentially have the SEC be transparent. Well, they basically took 3 separate emails and they sent them to Judge Nepern for what they call an in-camera review or a private review. What they did was actually cherry pick 3 individual emails and give reasons as to why these emails and why all of the rest of the emails in their cache should essentially be kept private because of their attorney-client privilege. This is that new privilege assertion that the SEC is asserting because, you know, they don't want to give up these emails and have them be public. Because if that were to happen, like everybody already expects, their case would completely be over. It looks like it's heading that way for them, but that would officially end it. Okay, so Judge Nepern has a big decision to make because in my opinion, these Hinman emails, they're the biggest, most important part of this case up to this point. Whether or not they stay public or not, if they come out and they're allowed to be public, it's pretty much case over in my opinion. However, if they're allowed to be protected and they're not allowed to be used as this court case goes on to a summary judgment decision, it's still going to be heavily sided to Ripple, but nonetheless, they're not going to be able to use those emails. And this is interesting because a lot of what the SEC is doing, of course, they're cherry picking things and try to make it look like everything's in their favor. They want to keep all these rest of these emails hidden. But if you follow this on Twitter, there's a lot of Twitter users saying, well, listen, A, this wasn't legal advice. B, comments are not legal advice. And not only that, some of the people that Bill Hinman was requesting information from were not even SEC employees. They were actually outside people, and many of them weren't even attorneys at all. So is Judge Nepern going to actually grant the SEC to keep the rest of these emails protected? Well, if you want to find out and follow along, make sure you subscribe to the Late Night Grind because that's a big piece of juicy news when that comes out. I will definitely be reporting on it. All right, guys, I wanted to get to these polls that I just put up on my channel. And if you're new to this channel, I put up polls. Go hit the community tab. I used to put up a lot more polls, and I want to start doing that again because what you guys return in information is really, really interesting. So I wanted to read the results of some of the most recent ones. So the first one I asked you guys, if you think that the crypto markets will actually make a rebound before the regular markets, hence before like the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones. 73% of you said yes. Only 27% think those other markets are actually going to rebound faster than the crypto market. The other one I asked was the inflationary number for June. So this month, June of 2022, is inflation going to be worse or better? 86% of you said worse. If you look at gas prices and food prices, yeah, that sounds about right. And finally, I asked what for next year, for 2023, what's going to have more value? NFTs, metaverse cryptos, or DeFi? And this one actually surprised me a little bit. 56% of you said DeFi is going to have more value than either metaverse or NFTs next year. Clearly, you think that those were just speculative for 2020 and 2021, and that's some very interesting information for me to take into consideration. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.